change, increase your DPS, makes it harder for you to catch. But again, you kind of have to get used to it.
Yep.
Here, Argentina, I still feel like
Kita
banning out the
masuk di
Valentino
game
would be
pertama,
good
guys.
because as a Jushin, you just don't want to fight someone with range.
Kita
Not
lihat
saying that
hero yang di
Valentino has
ban.
a lot of range.
Ada Lunox,
It looks like they're
Hayabusa,
banning out the
Kimi,
Joyce, or
Parsia,
they're
Joy,
thinking this Baxia is not going to be
Iesf,
jungle here.
Arlot,
So
Gatot Kaca,
maybe
Lancelot,
in their
Fredrin.
minds, it's Baxia, EXP or Rome, and Hilda, EXP or Rome. Very interesting here.
But Baxia XP wouldn't make any sense because it's a
Notnya
matchup
broken
loss,
walls.
right, against into CC.
Ada Grok, Cici, Jusin,
What was I thinking again? I was thinking
Arit,
like,
Hilda,
they're
Baxia,
wow, okay, so they know something we don't.
Isun Sin.
Wow, okay, so, but this does make it even harder, I think, for Argentina. So because you locked two out of Isun Shin already.
Here's the thing. I did say Alpha might be a bit difficult to deal with the Yisun Shin, but against the Hilda, in case the Hilda wants to invade, you can hold your ground.
Yeah, it's an anti-tank, right?
Not saying that is going to be the pick, but like I said, not a lot of options here.
But now that they have Yisun Shin, they already solved the physical damage part. I don't mind if a Sicilian comes through for Uzbekistan in that mid lane. I think, and especially with lower mana cost for your bat impact in early levels, easier to stack up, you don't run dry as fast. That means you could participate in these early skirmishes a bit more. You did call the Suyo earlier on, the Esmeralda comes through, so we still end up getting a double fighter comp with Suyo as sort of one of the main breadwinners of the team.
Yeah, and again, Suyo, now that has been buffed up with the cooldown, does feel more Yi Sun-Shin-esque, where they are like one of the junglers that actually has a way to attack from far away, right? Using the bow. Well, funny enough, from both junglers here. So Uzbekistan, yeah, I kind of feel like when it comes to the, Sicilian comes out.
Sicilian.
Well, on the money.
Kind of good at this, huh?
Kind of good at this. I mean, I had a feeling since yesterday we're doing decent, but now I'm sure we're pretty good at this job.
Yeah.
Now with this Suyo, only two heroes come online at level 3. One is Suyo, one is Julian. I mean, part of me is happy to see Suyo back. You know, I remember when he was first released, I hated that hero because how strong he is. But yesterday we did talk about Suyo when you brought up Bauman and the security objectives. I'm like, Suyo does it pretty well too. And now he's here.
Speaking of which, now I would like to say that the opening, it did seem like Uzbekistan had a pretty strong opening, and by the end of the draft, I would say both drafts are pretty even, because when it comes to the win condition, they have multiple win conditions coming in from both teams, where if we start from the early game, Hilda as well as Baxia is already pretty strong, but then the answer coming in from Argentina with the Grok, with the Suyo, with the Jushin, it does mean that whenever either team wants to fight, the firepower is going to be there, again, for both teams.
Yeah, I think even if you switch the junglers around, right, they are still pretty solid overall in terms of lineup and tempo. That makes the first 4 to 5 minutes even more important. Let's kind of find out which of these teams will draw first blood as we enter the land of dawn. It's Argentina against Uzbekistan in this lower bracket. Game 1, Argentina on the blue side, Uzbekistan on red.
Something that we do have to look out for is really how they're going to manage the waves earlier on, because when it comes to this double fighter setup here, I'm really looking at Argentina being the first to have a 5-person rotation towards the first turtle and start to snowball from there.
Yeah.
Compared to the Harif, he might want to stay in lane just a little bit longer.
You know what? Something that I feel like it's a blessing in disguise for Uzbekistan. Because of the last 2 picks of Argentina, they completely dodged a CC Baxia matchup, which I felt like is very disadvantageous, but still, mid lane gang early on, first blood going over to Argentina as they take out Yasia, and that is the aggression that we want to see.
That is beautiful coming in from Argentina. So what they did was that they froze the lane, making it so that Yasha, if one gets stacks, wants to get a farm, has to move up front. And as a Sicilian, you don't have a dash, you don't have a movement speed increase, allowing for that gank to happen. So that was clever coming in from Naval, making sure that she controls the minion wave so that Yasha is basically, free for a gank.
And that's the strength of the Jusin that we talked about. And it also reveals a bit of that weakness of Hilda, where sure, she's pretty good at, dealing with your man-to-man, but if you're dealing with Jusin Grok, then suddenly the tables turn, right? You cannot get close, they alter your movement forcefully, and with the turtle spawning and the first blood early on going to Miyuki, Argentina should have free control over the objective, and make it worse, Miss is just making Hinata's life miserable in this XP lane. Even if right now she has a turtle person, she just does not have the health to participate.
Yeah, look at that. Subdify is gonna see in the ball as well as Miz, but they're just gonna push her away. Miyuki gets the turtle for free, and looks like Argentina, they want more.
They're gonna go in, but it's just a level 2 Hilda. She hits level 3, but it really doesn't matter. Miyuki picks up a second body.
I would say
Empuk
Uzbekistan,
Hildanya.
the mistake was in early. Well, number one, yes, the manipulation of the minion wave made it so that they were up for a gank. And look at this, Miz is slowing down the purple buff take here, and might
Oh,
even
she
get
got
it.
it.
Oh,
She got it with a tectonic charge.
lihat tuh guys,
But
dapat
a
grobnya
beautiful
guys, pas
movement
banget.
from the support, the Roma of Argentina. Miss will give up her life. Surely, right? Hinata bumps into her, finally picks up the kill, but it took a 5-man gang squad from Uzbekistan to make that happen.
That was so worth it. You slow down really on this Yisun Shin. You slow down everyone's farm by forcing them to chase after Grog. The Grog gets the purple buff.
That's great. That is.
That's a buy one free 3, Husky.
It's by 3-5, I
Free
call it.
5.
That's worth it.
Now that's a bargain.
Put it on your coupon. You're gonna get some pretty decent offer. Something that Uzbekistan needs to realize, if they haven't yet, is that this comp might struggle, or maybe they are struggling now, but eventually they're gonna start hurting. And
Now-
that falls onto Yasia.
We're looking at the gold lane here. Ellis might be in trouble just a bit, but look at his Neo. 1v1 Hinata.
Okay, he's gonna try and power through this with the Revitalize. Bring in some help. There's the Mountain Shocker, Turtle Bolt in hand, Purify forced out, and now the crash. They juggle it pretty good, and they find the punish.
Yeah, looks like down bot. Looks like Ellis has not been taken down, and this is good coming in from Uzbekistan, because what they need to do here, Husky, is that they gotta give room for Hinata as well as Sugdifly to get some level, because they're the front lines. If the front line is not there, it's gonna be very difficult for especially Yisun Shin and the Sicilian to do work. If they get burst down so
Center deh.
fast, they're not gonna have any team fight.
Worst case scenario, just let Yasia stack a bad impact, right? Eventually she's gonna get enough stacks to really hurt. Sanctify with the axe jumps onto Navao. Get the Sanguine Claws. Miyuki caught in it, has the Blaze Switch to
Selamat
safety.
poinnya.
As Neo
Oh,
jumps
mati.
in, Elias chases the jungler down. Miyuki is out of the fight. Vengeance gets popped by Riza. He tries to hop onto Yasia, who gets out, but Elias just found a double kill in the back line. And now she is
Harus
isolated.
double kill.
Good Earth and Rampart into a mighty swing. Elias tried to dash away with the enhanced attack. The Chrono Dash doesn't buy enough distance, as eventually Riza picks up that kill.
We see the potential here coming in from Uzbekistan, where Elis has shown that able to carry, dealing damage to the proper targets, but that's going to be a problem here for both teams,
Enak
because
ini
we see a very
sebenarnya.
split team fight.
But if Argentina tunnel visions and give Elis those opportunities, that is good news for her, right? I mean, she did went down, but 2 kills earlier on, you sort of negate whatever lead that Argentina has gotten in the early game. They are still 2K ahead. They got both turtles. But all things considered, Uzbekistan has been able to weather the storm. And 3 assists for Yasia. Definitely got a couple of bad impact stacks from that skirmish too.
Yeah, but again, this is just going to give a lot of pressure to the damage dealers here, because again, they're very strong, but very susceptible to getting punished. Because again, Sicilian doesn't have a lot of ways to protect himself, and Illis, once the Zaman Force is down, you have no sustain, you have just one dash every 2.5 seconds. Makes it so that that's more than enough time for you to get bursted down. Speaking of which, another rotation towards Illis.
Still has to purify, so should be safe. And we saw the starting site being purchased as well. Great Mountain Shocker, so you see that 4-man gang squad in the bottom lane, allowing Uzbekistan to plan around, and Yasia though has to be careful of that pathing. Shouldn't really walk there, doesn't have to flicker for another 30 seconds. She is most likely gonna go down, lifted up into her depth, and that is kind of a fatal mistake for Uzbekistan. The pathing was too dangerous, and they lose Socklify too.
Yeah, that was very honest, considering that you know the rotation, but hold on, Hinata goes in, takes a lot of damage. It looks like he's gonna get taken down by Miyuki, and now Zuela is there in between 3 members, and it's gonna get taken down by Neo. Uzbekistan, they're going in for the fight where they really shouldn't.
And they try and put it onto Alice's hand, and she's gonna purify out of that. The sole survivor of the earlier team fight. Yasia flickers, doesn't get the bad impact, needs one more. Miyuki plays around the minimum range of the bad impact, and that is good enough. Miyuki is out, Navao gets jumped on by Socklify, and they just did not have the damage. Socklify tried to chase out Navao, but couldn't find a finisher, and ends up losing her life. Argentina gets away with daylight takedown.
And right now, Uzbekistan needs to calm down a little bit, because they're playing with a lot of, I would say, excitement here, because they're going in for fights when you're not ready just yet because you got to play as a team here, and Argentina is playing as a team, punishing anyone from Uzbekistan that is overextending. There's a lot of overextensions here. They got to get some farm first, get the levels, get maybe 2 items from Ellis, and then see what you can do from there. No, you need 3 from Ellis.
I think you can start cutting your losses because Ellis is getting run down by Neo. Neo just got the Oracle too. Oh boy, here comes the Grok. Ellis somehow still gets out, thankfully. I thought Miss would permit the tectonic charge, but it's okay. They still walk away with the 3rd and final turtle of the game. Bottom tier 1 goes down. Uzbekistan are in a very tough spot, 5k behind.
Yeah, you can see here the Eastern Shin trying to get the purple buff, able to get one, but still only level 10 here. Is still pretty strong in the grand scheme of things. Around 5,000 gold lead here for Argentina. Miyuki now has the War Axe, making it so that they can fight for quite a while here. And the damage is there coming in from Ellis. It's just that the front line is not there. Feather of Heaven has been purchased. Uzbekistan, they should use the fact that they have a Sicilian and just protect the turrets, right?
Yeah.
Don't go for the fights just yet. You can be stronger later.
I mean, even just now, we saw that Yasia's bad impact actually does some decent damage. And now just have to keep that in mind. Protect the Sicilian. I mean, you are getting massive stacks from these kind of pokes. You're not getting takedowns, that's for sure. But at least you're defending your structures, you're stalling the game, but you're also helping yourself scale later into the game. And now will be forced to use to revitalize, go to tectonic charge, only on the backside. Hinata brought back, but should be able to get out of this. Not a problem there. So Uzbekistan definitely fine-tuning the approach, and they are holding up well so far.
Although I do have to say, Hinata kind of made a small mistake there where when she was retreating, she kind of retreated towards Ellis, and that gave Riza an idea that someone is waiting there.
Yep.
But Ellis was able to recall in time. That was almost a costly mistake, because right now they just need to reset, because losing 5,000 is pretty bad. But you can make things happen, but Hinata gets caught again. I don't think that's how you're gonna make it happen.
Yeah, and with Hinata down, Stockify is not gonna be able to do too much.
Dia
So
pakai
we'll have to
Sakai
fix
tu,
the
guys.
safety. Now want to continue to chase though. They don't have the tectonic charge. Stockify gets lifted up, and
dia
that is
guys,
the Sky Crystal
10
from the bow. Doing work. Ellis still gets chased down. Riza on top of her as the Synchro Fissure is starting to hurt from Ellis. They will have to use the Crimson Beacon to disengage from the bow, and I don't think you want to be there as a YSS, so Uzbekistan calls it off.
Yeah, and the Lord has been spawned here, and I feel like at 10 minutes, the Lord shouldn't be that big of a problem, considering that you do have a Sicilian Shin as well as a Heart, so it's fine for you to let this one go. It's just that you have to have this mindset, we're just going to turtle up for a while, make sure that no one dies in the next engage, and if someone has to die, it just has to be a front line, right? At this point, the Hilda 0-4 and 1 is not giving much to the team, just being a mid-shield, so, you know, if anyone has to be sacrificed, it has to be.
I think the internal monologue is just, we'll eventually outskill them.
Exactly.
We will eventually do more damage, and then we'll eventually be able to overpower them. Now, the only resource that Uzbekistan really needs is time.
Yep.
If they can survive this first floor without losing an inhibitor, I think that's more than enough. In fact, they might even get more. Miss use the tectonic charge and the flicker. That is great.
That is amazing. Neo jumps in all alone, taking a bit of damage, but still it's fine, because Argentina, this is not the easiest comp for you to siege those minions. There's really not enough range.
Yep. The
longest range is Naval. You know, Jushin is not known to take down turrets fast, so this is doable, right? This is defendable.
Very defendable.
This is geekable.
Very, very geekable. I mean, they are trying to stall out the Lord in the bottom lane, and the Lord still gets the crash in. Oh, Neo actually, with the help of the Vow, finds a takedown. That's not the Alice. That's not the person that you want to lose. Tectonic comes in, and it's going to be a 2-man knockup. Miss getting the setup done. Yasia getting ran down by Neo, but they were able to keep Yasia alive. Bad impact are starting to hurt, but Stocklify is gone. Three members of Uzbekistan in the grave, but thankfully, Argentina does not have the resources to end the game, so Uzbekistan will keep on playing.
But still, around 11 minutes with almost 9,000 gold lead, it's a good position for Argentina here, especially looking at the damage coming in from Neo as well as Miyuki. We're looking at itemization here. Neo is, you know, the only offensive item is that Enchanted Talisman, but that does mean that you can keep generating those shields, making it almost impossible for Uzbekistan to actually get the kill. And looking at the Suyo already investing in some defense after having the Hunter Strike, the War Axe, as well as the Malefic Roar, makes it so that Uzbekistan, their front line is already non-existent.
Yep.
More so now that there's a lot of penetration on Argentina.
Makes it very, very hard to itemize against too. Though again, if there's any consolation prize, Yasia will be the person that can turn this around alongside Ilis. Definitely harder for the Harrier to maneuver around Argentina in those team fights, even with the Purify, just because you have a Dusin on you. Like Dusin's, the Lantern Flare, very hard to time your Purify around it, right? If she lifts you up, it's lights out, but if you use it before she lifts you up, you cancel all the previous stacks, but you also open yourself up for harder crowd control. So it's definitely a fine line that they have to tread on. The second Lord spawning in 10 seconds, Argentina will be looking for the coup de grace.
Yeah, I would say one of the troubles for Uzbekistan here is target locking, because the targets for Argentina is actually quite difficult to get on, especially when you have that Grok, where getting Miyuki is difficult. Suyo has so many dashes. It's disgusting after the buff to the cooldowns.
Yep.
And then if you're trying to get onto Naval, you know, Jushin is not the easiest mate to kill, and then having a Grok there to protect as well. That's, I would say, the biggest problem for Uzbekistan is just that they want their targets to stand still for you know, long enough that Yasha and Alice is able to deal enough damage. Well, good news, Holy Crystal has been completed by Harif, so they should have damage at this point.
Honestly, that looked pretty scary because Yasia was trying to almost face check the bush. Some rookie mistakes that could cost the game at this point. Quick dodge and blade. Talk about the Sanguine Claws. They get the turbo, Neo has to purify out, they crash it! And that is a shutdown. Very needed. The YSS might end up going down though. It's time to cut your losses as they lose their jungler.
30 dah guys,
Tectonic shots, great flicker.
40.
Yasia to avoid that, and now they will try to defend the base. Hinata able to escape, and this Sicilian is starting to hit hard.
Yeah, but again, they gotta be careful as well. Trading 1-for-1 at this stage is honestly worth it, but you gotta be careful because Yasha now does not have that flicker and looks like getting caught again.
And they don't have the tectonic shots though. They get a mighty swing, but it's Ellis and Miss. The cores of Uzbekistan trying to really hold the fort. Naval had to flicker the safety as Riza deals with the mid inhibitor, tries to go for the end game, but the Lord has just gone down. Yasia trying to save it. Riza will be taken down. Uzbekistan holds the fort again.
And they're just getting stronger here, Husky, because Alice now has the penetration with the Divine Glaive, and Yasha with that wishing a lantern makes it so that now your front line will actually die getting hit by Uzbekistan. That was an amazing way for them to defend, but also Argentina. This is where you see the weakness of this kind of draft. You don't have a lot of range. You don't have a good way to siege. You just gotta win a clean team fight, and then let the minions go in, and then take your time taking down the base.
And we know the keys to victory. Miss, if he gets a tectonic charge onto Yasia, that is gonna be lights out, right? But Yasia played that perfectly, the whole sequence, able to preemptively flicker away from an incoming tectonic charge, save herself, and then defend the base alongside Ellis. I think Argentina now needs to realize that whatever goalie they have, sure the stats say that they're 5,000 ahead, but it honestly does not matter at this point. The core members of Uzbekistan are already online. It is as good as even. So Argentina now is back to square one. They've done all the heavy lifting, barring one low health inhibitor in the top lane. Let's see if they can finish the job.
I would say at this point, Argentina might have to consider let one person do the
Udah
hero play,
15 menit nih guys.
Neo or Riza go straight onto Yasha and use anything that you can just to make sure that the Sicilian is no longer in the fight, and then proceed forward, because I feel like that's the biggest problem. If the Sicilian is no longer there, trading 1-for-1 for your fighter for that mage, that's gonna be enough, because Miyuki can just sweep up everyone else.
And Neo is not immortal anymore. We saw how he got picked off earlier on with Uzbekistan, half the damage to cut through this Esmeralda. And that also puts the Baxia's passive into the picture too.
Kita lihat.
On healing and shield. Let's see if Miz can make it happen for the team. They used the Crimson Beacon very early on as a zoning
Tanpa
tool,
kontes
just
guys.
so that they could secure the third Lord of the game. And I think that is good enough. They still are in control of the game, and this third Lord might just be what they need to end it.
Yeah, but again, like,
Tapi Lord evolusinya menit 18 guys.
By the Earthen Rampant. Right, at that point, it's good that Miyuki was not there, focusing on the Lord, and they were just on zoning duty, right? Not actually trying to get a kill. That was actually a good opportunity for them to get the kill.
Dude, yeah, you have a flicker tectonic charge that's probably Sicilian gone. Ooh, something like this. That's a very, very dangerous spot to be in. Safe to say that the last inhibitor is going to go down, and it's not going to be an easy defense. Even with Harif and Sicilian. No flicker on Iesf for 70 seconds. They use the multi charge first, so they get vision. Inata early revitalize, tectonic charge only hits on the one, but it's the YSS, and that is one of the cores down already. Argentina try to put force through. They find that it's double kill for Naval, and the job is done. Miyuki picks up the third, and Iesf can't do it alone. Argentina scores the first point in this lower bracket.
It was not an easy victory, but it was quite decisive. Having a very good early game, transitioning into the mid, and then sure, some hiccups in the late when the Sicilian starts to become a problem, but still, Argentina got game number 1.
And it all started with just some very minor errors from Uzbekistan in how they approached
terlanjut
that
guys
early
di game
We
kedua.
talked about how important it is to really figure out what the game plan